Lunara versus Throne.
Hey folks, it's Kikoskia here with some more Hearthstone. And you know what are difficult decks to deal with? Token decks, because they are designed to just place threat after threat after threat on the board. Even though they're not very dangerous threats, they are persistent, and eventually your opponent will run out of ways to deal with them. That is what this druid deck is all about. Constant placage of tokens on the board that eventually get buffed and hopefully will overrun your opponent. Like this minion here, a 2/1 Acorn Bearer that gives me two 1/1 squirrels when it dies. And then I can play those squirrels and then have more tokens. Landscaping gives me tokens in the form of treants. I have a spell that gives me a number of wisps dependent upon how many cards I have in my hand. And you're not going to play anything. Alright? Apart from the weapon, you just let me keep these on the board, which is fine, because then I can play this, the Hench Clan Hogsteed, a 2/1/2 with Rush that when it dies, gives me a Murloc on the board. That is a threat that persists. Now this opponent has a Lickum, which means that it's very likely that he's playing an Overload style deck. There are my squirrels, and he's probably going to trade into... No, he's not going to trade into my Hench Clan Hogsteed. I think I'm gonna play some trees. And then hit the face, because this deck is all about trying to apply pressure. Now you're going to hit there. And there is the most adorable Murloc you've ever seen. Look at how happy he is. And look at how quickly my board is going to collapse. But that's okay, because I have even more threats up my sleeve. Now, we have the Mecharoo, which is a pretty decent threat. And we have the Hench Clan Hogsteed. Both of these are quite sticky. I want to play this, and I also want to play a squirrel. Look at how sinister that squirrel is. He's scheming something evil indeed. Now, you look at this board and think, it's turn 4, and that's all you've got. That's not very good. But one Savage Roar makes this a lot more dangerous. And you're just going to hit face. You're intent on dealing loads of damage to me as well. But I have a lot more than you think I do. There are some more treants, and I'm going to trade in the squirrel to get rid of that minion. And then hit you some more. Now, the bad case scenario is a Hagatha's Scheme, which is a scheme card that gets more powerful the more turns it's in his hand. It starts at dealing 1 damage to all enemies, and then 2, 3, 4, but Lightning Storm would be even worse. Or a spell damage totem and Beacon Lightning, that would be really bad. But right now, aha, here come the Murlocs. There is a War Leader that will give him another Murloc. And you know what? I could go and hit those, but I have 2 damage, 4 damage, 6 damage, 8 damage, 10 damage here. Now I have a lot more damage. 3, 6, 9, 12. Another two, and a swipe for the victory. Well played. Not bad at all, considering that I'm rank 13. I got stuck in the rank 15 and above part of the ladder at the start of the expansion, because when you get to rank 15, you can't go below rank 15 for the rest of the month, and you then can't ever go below rank 20, period. I'm always at rank 20. Winning there at rank 13 is not bad at all, but there are definitely decks out there that can beat all of the tokens that I'll play.
Lunara versus Lazoo.
Priest might be one of those decks.
Saw this encounter.
Now I'm using the Forest's Aid, which is a really good spell for getting lots of tokens on the board, and also Mark of the Lower. I do like the joke for that card. Ah, Mark. The most powerful of Lower. I actually want to keep Mark of the Lower, and I'll get rid of the other two. I got a turn 1 play, and not a turn 3 play. That's not going to be played on turn 3. I'll play this though.
Nature's blessings upon you.
How are you? I do want to see a few earlier cards. That's not an early card. That is definitely a finish them off kind of card. This is not a very strong beginning. But this crazy cookie here doesn't have a very strong beginning either, unless I see, which I didn't, a statue. Okay, that is a lovely card for turn 8. It's not turn 8 right now. It's currently turn 3. But I appreciate the gesture deck. Pretty much everything in my deck here is either something that generates tokens or buffs tokens. There are a few things like Swipe, but they are sort of the exception. I'm going to play Mark of the Lower here, and get some raptors. Note that they are different looking raptors to the standard Razorfen raptor. I like that touch. Now my opponent could coin the Mass Hysteria, which means that all of my minions will attack each other, and if I'm very unlucky, this will attack first and hit one of these before these trade into each other, and then I'll lose everything.
What must I do?
You're going to Shadow Word Pain. Alright. And then Shadow Word Pain again. That's a lot of removal for low attack minions. Can you deal with this then? This is a minion I never thought I'd see myself playing from the Boomsday project, the Microtech controller, which gives you microbots. Now, if this board can survive, we have a Soul of the Forest next turn, but we won't have that. But the board will not entirely be lost, because we have the Joey bot from the Mecharoo. And now we have more trees. The trees are alive, and they are very annoyed. It's a good chance that my opponent does not have... Okay, you have a minion there. Now, I could Soul of the Forest and Blessing of the Ancients, and I'm actually going to do that. So this means that when they die, I get more treants, and this means that all my minions have +1/+1. So we can trade into this, and then we can start hitting you. Slowly we're dealing the damage. If this damage will actually manage to finish you off is another question, because we still don't have a lot of power on the board. Another Mass Hysteria would do a good job of diminishing it, but then we'll just play the Forest's Aid. Okay, now you have that, and we can get through that. We can definitely get through that, in fact. What we're going to do... What we're going to do is we're going to Soul of the Forest again. And then we're going to Blessing of the Ancients again, giving me this, that when it dies gives me 2 more treants. And getting through that, we have a very sticky board here. There are some that have the ability to summon a treant and the Blessing, and you have Mass Dispelled, which means I don't have the those buffs anymore.
Unity.
And there's Ziliax for some health. Now, I can't do much about that, which is unfortunate, but I can trade here with the 2-1. And then hit you a little more. And then I think I will Force of Nature to get more treants that are even more buffed. I do like Blessing of the Ancients. It's not very economical in terms of, Katrina Muad, which will definitely bring back A very, very durable taunt. But have I already won? We have 2 damage, 4 bonus damage here, which means that each of these will then deal 7 damage, plus we also have that potentially. Let's see, shall we? We have that. We have that. And if we do this, we then have 8 falls, one of which will trade here. I'll trade there. And then, with a well played, we have got through and managed to be victorious. Not bad! 2 for 2! I'm surprised that we haven't met a super heavy control deck yet to firmly smash down all of these tokens. What this deck doesn't do well against is a more typical zoo. More typical zoos, especially the Warlock Zoo, are able to outvalue your tokens. This is a better deck for a deck that only has limited ways to deal with tokens. Here is, speaking of which, a Warlock that is probably going to spell the end of this run of good fortune. We're going to keep Soul of the Forest. Whispering Woods is not bad. Another card I didn't think I'd ever use. I crafted this card just for this deck. Hello, how are you? We're very likely to see a 1-drop. At least we can trade into a fair few of the 1-drops, like the Flame Imp. The Void Walker, not so much. Or maybe I'm lucky, and you don't have a 1-drop. Ah, who am I kidding? If you're Zoo, you've got one. It's the one I wanted to see, though. So now it's gone. Go! Hello, adorable Murloc. How are you? I don't have a golden one of these. Maybe I should get a golden one of the Hench Clan Hogsteed. There's a Mecharoo. And a Crystallizer. Okay. We are up against the Zoo here. I think trading is actually a good idea. And then playing the Microtech controller. Most of this board is going to die, but that's fine. He'll have to trade into it. Or maybe he won't. Yep, trade there. And a use of a hero power. Coining out a 2-drop. The Scarabeg. Ah, the Scarabeg is a problem. And we can't really get rid of it how I'd like to. Now, the Scarabeg is typically used with the minion that either, when it destroys a minion, gives him some lackeys, or the spell that destroys something and gives all of his minions +1/+1. I'm going to Whispering Woods here. Not the best use, it's given me 4/1/1s, but it's a board that I can work with. I can then Soul of the Forest it, and we'll go from there. But it's quite likely that this is going to get destroyed, and there's going to be some serious value for the Warlock. Or I could be lucky and he might not have it. What I really don't want him to have is the Magic Carpet. That minion is... oh, there's the Evil Genius. It's not the one I was as worried about. I was more worried about the prospect of the, oh. And then you're going to... ooh, Goblin Lackey to trade into there. And then Grim Rally to give everything +1/+1. That could have gone better. It couldn't have gone much worse, though. Okay, let's do this. And we actually do need to do some trading here. Just so that his board does not overwhelm me, because we could see another Grim Rally in the near future, and then I'm dealing with 3/3s. There's a Lackey. Gives a 2/3. He's definitely going to trade, which actually isn't that bad for me. Because I can continuously make more things. That is not as good. But at the very least, I do have another Force of Nature to make more trees. Now, the 3/3 can trade quite well. Everything else will have to sacrifice itself. But I get the feeling he's going to start going face now. does only have one more card than me. He is a little bit further into his deck, and I haven't yet taken any damage. That's probably not going to last. There not being Doomguard in the standard meta anymore is a relief though, because facing off against the 5/7 here would be really bad. Then again, facing against the Magic Carpet would also be just as terrible. Mainly because it's lower mana and it doesn't make him discard any of his cards. Okay. What are you going to do? Knife Juggler! That's not good at all. That's really bad. You trade away everything. I actually don't have any minions for a turn. I want to get something that will get me minions. Another Whispering Wood, perhaps? You don't want to trade away the... Yep, you don't want to trade away the 2/2, and that will go there. And I've taken my first points of damage. They won't be my last. Okay, Acorn Bearer.
This be our neck of the woods.
It's kind of terrible.
This will be good.
But we've got to do that. And then we will the Forest's Aid next turn. And I hope that my opponent will trade. I doubt my opponent will trade, because considering that he's a zoo, there are going to be a lot of things on the board when it comes to my next turn. I will have some squirrels in my hand at the very least. Not that I'm going to have much opportunity to play them. The Forest's Aid will help. The 2/2s actually can contest a lot of stuff that he'll be playing. Voidwalker, not great to see. That wasn't great either. Abusive Sergeant for some more damage. Abusive Sergeant for even more damage. Sea Giant! Right, now we're in trouble. Some serious trouble. In fact, it's safe to say that there is literally nothing that I can do here. I could the Forest's Aid, but that's 8 damage. That's another 3 damage, and that's pretty much lethal. The one thing this deck does not have is taunts. So I will play this. Well played. And give him the victory.
I can't win them all.
You can't win them all. That is true. Had things gone a little differently, maybe I'd have won. But I did say that Zoo was a weakness of this deck. This deck works better against things that can't actually prevent all of your tokens from staying around. And so, that was a few matches with my Token Gesture deck. It's far from an original idea. Token Druid was a thing in the past, and it has become a thing in the current meta, though there are a few things in the other Token Druid decks that are a bit different, like they use the 2-mana legendary that allows, when you cast a choose one spell, for you to get a copy of both of the choose one options. I don't really have that many spells in my version of the deck, and I think it's a little stronger for it. It also lacks card draw, so if I run out of cards like I did there, I'm kind of doomed. But the hope is that you maintain the momentum enough that you don't really need to draw many cards. If you haven't won quickly, you're not going to win at all. And so, those were some matches in the Year of the Dragon, and Rise of Shadows. I'm surprised I won as many of them as I did. Pleasantly surprised, but still surprised. And when we come back, folks, there will be more matches of Hearthstone, with a new deck. Will it be as token-centric as that one? No, it won't. But it may be something that we've sort of seen before, altered to suit the new scenery of Hearthstone. And so, I'll catch you next time, folks, and I'll see you then. Later. Not a bad showing for that deck at all. Don't know what I'd do to improve it. Maybe a few minions that give me some card draw, but usually they're pretty poorly statted, and I'd much prefer to play something else. Maybe there are other minions that give me more tokens. There definitely are, but will I actually play them? I'll ponder it. Later.